Today we'll be working on basic facts 15. A. Round 650 to the nearest hundred. Divide the rounded number by 7 to find the quotient. So we're going to round 650 to the nearest hundred, and then we're going to divide the rounded number by 7. So we have 650, and I'm going to round it to the nearest hundred. So I'm going to underline the hundreds place and circle the tens place because it's right next to it. So the tens place is going to tell me what to do to the hundreds place. If this number is greater than 5, then we add 1 to that hundreds place. If it's less than 5, this number stays the same. And anything behind that number that we're rounding is going to become 0. So 650, we look at that 5. This is 5 or greater, so that means we're going to add 1 to that 6. So that 6 becomes a 7. And these two become 0. So 650 rounds up to 700. So now we have to divide it by 7. So we have 700 divided by 7. I can do the trailing 0 method. So I'm going to cover those two zeros. So what's 7 divided by 7? How many groups of 7 can I make from 7? I can make one group. And then just bring over those two zeros. So that gives me a quotient of 100. Right, B, round 488 to the nearest hundred. Multiply the rounded number by 8 to find the product. So this time we're going to round to the nearest hundred, but we're going to round the number by 8. So we have 488. We're going to round it to the nearest hundred. So I underline the place value I'm going to round it to. I'm going to round it to the hundred and circle that place value right next to it. So if this is greater than 5, we add 1. So 8 is greater than 5, so we're going to add 1 to this 4. So 4 plus 1 is 5. And anything behind that is going to become a 0. So 488 rounds up to 500. Now I have to multiply by 8. So I have 500 times 8. So I multiply this number, 5 times 8. 5 times 8 is 40. And then I have to do is bring over those two zeros. So my answer would be 4,000. C, round 329 to the nearest hundred. Multiply the rounded number by 4 to find the product. So we're going to round by 300. We're going to round 329 to the nearest hundred, and we're going to multiply by 4. So again, 329. I'm rounding it to the nearest hundred, so I'm going to underline hundreds place. I circle the place value right next to it, which is the tens place. So if this is greater than 5, I add 1. If it's not, this one stays the same. So 2 is less than 5. That means the 3 is going to stay the same. And the numbers that are behind that number being rounded become zeros. So 329 rounds down to 300. Now I have to multiply times 4. So I'm going to use the trailing zeros method. So I go 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And then I have two trailing zeros that I need to bring over. So it'll be 1,200. Now D, round 216 to the nearest hundred. Divide the rounded number by 5 to find a quotient. So we're trying to find a quotient. So round 216 to the nearest hundred. Then we're going to divide the rounded number by 5. So again, I have 216. I'm going to round it to the nearest hundred. So I underline the place that we're going to round, and I circle the place value right next to it. So I look at the tens place. It's going to tell me what to do to the hundreds place. So this is less than 5. That means the hundreds place is going to stay the same. So that becomes a 2. Any number behind the number being rounded becomes 0. So these two become zeros. So that rounded down to 200. Now I have to divide by 5. So I can do the trading zeros. So I have 200 divided by 4. So if I can't divide the 2 by 4, so I go here, 20 divided by 4. I'm sorry, it's 20 divided by 5, not 4. So it'll be 20 divided by 5. So how many groups of 5 can I make from 20? 5, 10, 15, 20. That's 4. And then I just bring this 1 0 over. So my answer would be 40. E. Round 936 to the nearest 100. Divide the rounded number by 9 to find the quotient. So we're going to round 936 to the nearest 100. And then we're going to divide by 9 to find that quotient. So we have 936. Remember, I'm going to underline the place value that we're going to round to. We're going to round to the hundreds place. So I underline the hundreds place. And I'm going to circle the number right next to it. So if this number is less than 5, 3 is less than 5, that means the hundreds place is going to stay the same. And the numbers after the number being rounded will become 0. So 936 rounds down to 900. So now we have to divide by 9. We have 900 divided by 9. So you can cover these two zeros. How many groups of 9 can I make from 9? I can make 1 group. And then bring these two zeros over. And that becomes 100. Now you try 1 through 5 on your own.